Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're doing one of my absolute favorite mods for any car, and that's installing bucket seats and harnesses in the 350Z. What's going on, you guys? If you're new around here, this is my 2005 350Z. I've had it for 3 or 4 years now, and I picked this car up primarily to learn how to drift with and just have a fun rear-wheel drive car. So before the weather gets good and the season gets started, I wanted to do a few things to this car to make it that much more enjoyable out on the track this year. If you want to see more of this car out on the track, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're gonna be getting the car out to Evergreen Speedway and hopefully some other local tracks this season, and I cannot wait to get a little bit more acquainted with this car and just get more seat time. So now that the stereo is done in this car, the next thing we need to do to get this thing one step closer to being ready for the track is get the interior back together. And if you watch all my videos, you've already heard the story of why we got new seats for this car. Long story short, I had this car listed for sale. At this point, it's not being sold, so we're doing a few upgrades to it. But someone offered me a super high price for the Zeta 3s that were in the car, to the point where it was like $100 more to get a brand new pair of the Zeta 4s. So we upgraded seats. I got some new harnesses for my boys down at lzmfg. This is their Yashio factory collab. And I'm super excited to get these seats in the car for a couple different reasons. But what's cool about this is these seats are actually lighter weight, stronger, and are now part of the Lomax series, so they allow you to sit a little bit lower in the car, which is great for a taller driver like myself. So I'm super excited to get these in the car. We've got a driver and passenger set, new bride rails. The rails that were in the car before had the seat sitting just a little bit too far to the center console, so I always felt like I was off center from the pedals and the steering wheel a little bit. So this should allow us to correct it. And then with the new seat and harnesses, had to get a little upgrade for the steering wheel. This is the lzmfg Black Edition wheel, which we're gonna unpack here in a second. So I think one of the first things that we should do is get the seat bracket mounted to the seat behind me so I can get it in the car, get the seating position correct, and that way we know where the harnesses need to be mounted to the harness bar, and I can get that length correct when we go to install the harnesses in the car before doing the final bolt down on the seat. At this point, the microphone had died, but I was talking about how good the seating position felt, that I had appropriate amount of space between me and the steering wheel, that there was enough bend in my elbows when I had my hands on the steering wheel, and then obviously I want to check my head clearance with a helmet on to make sure that that fit, because when I'm out at track, I definitely don't want to be banging my head on the ceiling. And now it was time to get the harnesses installed and get those fitted to the harness bar. For the final adjustments on the harnesses, I decided to pull the seat out of the car, and while the seat's out of the car, we'll get all the hardware tightened in the rails before putting everything back in the car for final assembly. Okay, so the seat is out of the car, and I just made the unfortunate discovery that we're gonna have to drill some holes in the transmission tunnel. And if you've installed a 4-point or 6-point harness before, you're probably like, no shit. How did you have them in there before? But the harnesses that I had on before actually had a loop on the end of the lap belt that allowed it to go to the inner bolt where the stock seat belt hooked up. So I had it run through there. For these harnesses, we're gonna have to drill. Let me show you. So this is a common style with most harnesses, but you've got your eyelet bolt that goes either into the stock location like it does over here, or in this case, we're gonna have to put a plate on the back of the transmission tunnel and it'll go through into that, and your harness connects onto it. So that's what we need to do for the inner lap belt there. I want to do this the right way. I've got the car jacked up in the air so I could see underneath it, and it looks like there's a pretty good flat spot in the backside of the transmission tunnel right there. But to be super cautious and make sure we do this the right way, I'm going to pull out the center console so I can pull the carpet back and see what we're dealing with, because I really want to do this cleanly. And it's not so much that this is like a major modification. I just really like having modifications be reversible in case I ever want to take them out down the road. But I am hopefully gonna be keeping this car for a long time and drifting it, and this is the safest way and the right way to put the harness in. So let's get to it. Well, if you watched the last episode where we installed the stereo, you're definitely laughing right now because we had this entire interior out just in the last episode and I literally just finished putting it back in. But I've got the spot exposed where I think we need to mount the plate. So I've got the plate here. It's obviously gonna go on the other side, but I wanna get it where I can have it as far back as possible and flat as possible. So I'm thinking that's the spot. So I'm gonna just drill out the center with a small pilot hole, double check that it's where I think it is, because I'm 99% sure based on feeling under the car and looking at it. So here goes nothing. And we are through. Our eyelet can be threaded through there. It's nice and tight. I wanted to make sure it wasn't loose in there, so that goes through. We're gonna get the plate on the other side. I'm gonna put some butyl sealant around this so no water or anything can get through, and just to help it stick to the other side. And then we need to get our hole in the carpet for this to go through. And I learned a technique working on the S13 carpet that I'm gonna show you guys that works super well to do this. All right, so the trick here is using a socket, or in this case, like a hole punch. Put in some vice grips and blast that shit with a torch. So you get it hot enough, it literally just melts straight through the carpet, creates a nice ring for the bolt to go through, and also kind of sears the edges so they don't fray. All right, got the eyelet through, super pro fitment. Can't even tell, looks super clean. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get the plate on the bottom of the car. You can see I've got some of the butyl on there to help seal it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this under there and get this tightened down. And yes, I realize it's a little ridiculous going under a car when I have a lift, but the S13 is beached up on the lift with no way to come down. So here we are. All right, one side down, one to go. So got both the lower lap belts hooked in over here. This one uses the stock location. This is the one that we drilled for and mounted the plate behind. So those are ready to go. I'm gonna get the other side done, and then we can get everything put back together and throw the seats in finally. Passenger side is a wrap. Got that in there. Man, I am super happy with that install. Looks nice and clean. Got the interior button back up. It's officially time to throw that seat in. So we're gonna throw the driver's side seat in, get that all adjusted, and then we can start looking at getting the brackets mounted to the passenger side and getting the second seat in the car. Not gonna lie, I'm super glad to have those eyelets mounted in the transmission tunnel. That was a little bit daunting to start with, just because it felt like a major roadblock for something that I thought was gonna be way easier, but we got it done. Let's get back to it. Big moves, our driver's seat is in and secured. So I'm gonna start working on the passenger side, and the first thing I need to do is get our harnesses secured to the harness bar back there, and then we'll start looking at getting our seat mounted. All right, we got both seats in the car, officially mounted. Fire extinguisher is back in the car. It's looking good. Got the harnesses all installed. So the next thing we need to do is get our new steering wheel in here. Time to switch from this black steering wheel to this black steering wheel. Clearly my taste hasn't changed too much, but just freshening up the interior a little bit. Like I said, this is the black edition. lzmfg steering wheel. I like the whole murdered out look. You got the black horn, black hardware. So should be a super clean look in the car. Man, you guys, I just had to pull the Z outside to do the interior justice. It looks so good. I am just so stoked how this turned out. If you remember the interior before, it's kind of just an updated version of what was in here before, but love the all black with just a little splash of color on the pink and the red in the seats, but just came together so nice. I think we should go take it for a drive and see how the seats and everything feel.